intro to yourself?
Yes, no problem. Hi to all. Happy to be here. I'm Sarah. I'm from Croatia. I spoke with Nate on the coordination call on Friday. And yes, basically, I want to join to contribute somehow. My background is electrical engineering. I was working in automation as a commissioning engineer, but also as a software developer for quite a few years. And then last year, I decided to uh, take a deep dive into crypto just as the crypto market started to fall. So I think this is a good time for learning, and I'm really fascinated by all this technology. And especially when I stumbled upon token engineering, I see that I don't know, somehow I find that this discipline is quite interesting to me. Maybe because of my background, also I'm interested in psychology, sociology, so also this governance part is interesting to me. And that's all. I just want to learn, meet people, and have fun doing it. That's quite it.
Well, it's great to have you here. It's
Thank you.
great. I didn't make the connection. That was you. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I saw your intro on Friday. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. Great.
No problem.
Great. Good to have you here. Um, okay. So let's just do a quick round. Nothing fancy. Intentions and distractions for the call today. Isaac, please tell us.
Cool, thanks. Intentions, well, not much, just go through what we have in the agenda today. This and distractions, none of the moment. I'll pass it over to uh, I don't know, Bear.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, intentions. Just go over the agenda items. I think they are important topics that we need to discuss, and I don't have any distractions at the moment, so I'll just pass it to Marathon Mind.
Hey, all intentions, nothing much. I just want to get all the updates. Yeah, and there is one specific thing. And since all of you are on the call, this is not part of the agenda. I thought I'll just pitch and just take 2 minutes. So I am from India. Okay, I mean I'm from Kerala, in a place in India. So this is a very famous tourist place. So some of my friends here have started an ecotourism project. It's NFT based, membership based sort of. They said they approached Common Stack, and then Common Stack said this is a nice project, but TEC is the one you should actually approach, and they sent in the details of contact details, I think. So they spoke to me. I said I'll connect you to the right person, but I'm not sure who's the right person. So if somebody can help, I'll just connect with them.
Do you think you could just write up briefly? You can just do it in the coordination channel. Just maybe write up what it is you're trying to do, and then we can
See, we have an
follow up.
internal document. It's not like a deck. So I'll share it with you on the coordination.
Okay.
And then we'll take
Yeah.
it from there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mostly just let us know what you're trying to do, not so much what the project is, but what you're hoping to do. That would be great.
Okay. I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay. Can you pass it on to somebody?
I'll pass it on. Yeah, I'll pass it on to Nate.
Thanks, Marathon Mark. Yeah, just here to get some updates on things, and currently there are no distractions, and I'll pass it on to Joseph.
Joseph, I don't know if you heard. I think you passed it on.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It was kind of yeah. I'm my mouth. So intentions is to dive a bit deeper into the inverter network and actually do some more detailed documentation on that. Distractions. No, yeah, only minor distractions is since I moved to a different city, Carnival here in the city is kind of a bit distracting, but apart from that, that's about it. And is there anyone else to nominate, or was I the last person?
Bear?
Yeah, I think Bear's already gone, no? Okay.
Yeah, I went already. Yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Gideon.
Okay, sorry. And Sarah, basically, just you don't have to do this right now, but well, actually, I'm going to ask a question about this anyways. Just, we'll come back to this. My intentions, really, just to go through the agenda, and distractions, not really that much. I do have a question for you all. It seems that this intentions and distraction thing it's kind of a tradition that the TEC has used in the past as like a default question, but to me it feels a little bit pro forma, like it doesn't. I don't know if we ever really get that much out of asking this question. So I just want to put that out. Let's not have like a big discussion about it, but I would like to get just some quick feedback from folks. Like, how useful do you think this is?
I think I'll say it's useful because then at least I have an idea of what everyone else is doing, and it doesn't feel like so isolated, or like when people are talking about let's say especially for like the Thursday call, I have a reference to okay, earlier in the week they said there's intention was this, and so this is the trials and tribulations. So these are the successes that they're having with the task that they're actually undertaking. So for me, I find it quite useful for me. Well, I'm not sure about anyone else.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is somewhat useful. Like, at least for me personally, like it helps me, focus on the call and bring my attention to the agenda. And it's also a time for people to bring up any extra topic or something they need. I guess the balance is, or the key is trying to make it as quick as possible so that it doesn't take any much time. But I think if it's 5 minutes, I think it's worth it.
I think it depends on the call as well. Like if it's a call with different or many agenda items that everyone has something in mind and want to mention it, then I think it is really useful. But then yeah, I feel that there are some other calls that it might not be the best to do, and maybe we could have like this or different type of questions, or do some sort of different activity or dynamic from time to time. But yeah, I think it just depends on the call.
We talking about this call specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think this call and the Thursday call, and just to be clear, the intentions and distractions are specifically your intentions for this call, and distractions from this call, just so that we're all on the same page. Nate, do you have any thoughts or Marathon Mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think the calls are extremely important. Giving people an opportunity to bring up things maybe that they need to bring up or talk through or work out. It's a chance for advice process to start, and I think that we can make it our own. Like we can have fun with it. I just think that having that space during the week for these types of meetings is really, really, really important. But yeah, that's just my only feedback.
Yeah, I'm a fairly new member compared to others. I think the calls helped me to be on the same page as others. I think it really helps a lot.
Okay, so we'll keep it, and maybe what we'll do is I might post something and ping you all to just come up with some alternative questions that we can throw in every once in a while. What I'd love to do is figure out a way to like do a mix of like task and relationship. So like the task is more just like, hey, what's your intentions for this call, that type of thing, and then relationships more like getting to know each other kind of thing that we've done in the past. So it'd be good to just come up with like a list of questions that we'd like to work through just to kind of like help each other, help ourselves get to know each other. Okay, quick updates. Anybody's welcome to give a quick update. We need to just keep these super quick though, okay, in order to be able to get into the meat of the topics today. Strategic framework, I've now gotten far enough with the Token Engineering Academy that I feel like it's okay to actually post this up there because it's referring to that. So that's now up. The TEC strategic framework is now up in the forum. And it would be great if we could get a little bit of love from you all, just like liking it or commenting or whatever, because we got to figure out a way. There hasn't been a ton of traffic to the forum these days, so posting things up there sometimes it's hard to get attention. So I'm thinking actually it would be good to tweet this out, and then I'll put it in Discord as well. Maybe do Telegram. But yeah, if you've got, let's not go into it right now, but like I'm going to put a little post in the coordination channel in Discord to just see if anybody has any thoughts on how to get some more attention around this. And Isaac, do you want to give a quick update on the Gitcoin Allo opportunity?
Sure, yeah. Well, just very quick, Griff has been in touch with the Gitcoin folks. The grants protocol is now called Allo protocol, which is an abbreviation of allocation protocol. And so I'm now in touch directly with one of the team members of that's sort of in charge of the allocation protocol, and that's it. I just started talking with him yesterday, so I don't really have much, but hopefully we end up being one of their plan is to have a few small rounds where they help specific projects run it, and so hopefully we end up being one of those projects where they help us run one small round. But that's it. Back to you.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else have any quick updates?
We'll be hosting our SBI development meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST. So if anybody is interested in joining and learning about the roadmap, please do come.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's get into the next topic. So actually the three things that we're going to touch on, the first is the next season for the coordination team. So basically that'll be starting in April. What are we going to focus on? We talked a little bit about this last week. I've done a little bit more thinking. I want to just bounce this off you all. Isaac, and everybody knows Isaac is NT, right? Just to be clear, or NT is now Isaac. And so he's going to lead us through a brainstorming session on income generation. This may probably just be like the first of several as we start to kind of think about this now that we're getting some of the other foundations laid. And then Tam is going to join us for the last 15 minutes of the call to talk about, just get like a kind of give us an update on the advisory group and maybe do a little bit of brainstorming on that. This is like the advisory network idea. So I'm going to assume going forward that, when I send out that agenda the day before, that's your opportunity to add like major items. So like Isaac actually, when I sent that out, he dropped me a note saying like, hey, can we talk about income generation? So if you have like a major, other than just the updates, if you have like a major thing, please let me know the day before, and then we can work it into the agenda. So let's talk about season 2, the funding proposal. So basically, we gotta get on this. I'd like to have like the draft of this done within the next couple of weeks, so that we can get it posted up there. I have a feeling, it's going to take a while to get feedback and actually get the vote. So the kind of the major themes in this are, and actually, I'll share my screen so those of you who are not looking at the document live, you can see it here. So, so one of the first things, is just kind of like a major theme is like strengthening faith in the commons. So, I would say that when the TEC launched, there was a lot of excitement, and actually prior to the launch, just a ton of excitement. And then, that kind of waned a little bit as we spent a lot of, well, we don't need to go into all those details, but basically the kind of excitement seemed to wane for a little bit, but it's starting to build back up again. And I think it's, part of what our job is, if we want to, serve this mission, and then also just make sure that the token stays strong, is rebuilding faith in the commons. So part of that is telling is basically helping people to understand what we've been doing, which is like really tamping down the spending so that it's clear that, the money that's in the common pool is really primarily for the mission, but that we need to spend a certain amount of it to keep things operating. So I think we've done a really good job of that actually over the last couple of months. I mean, that's been getting a concrete, predictable operating budget has been a huge task, and we've now dropped our spending down to about a quarter or maybe even less of what it was before in our burn rate. So that's great. So then the other piece of it is telling the TEC story. So like, I'm hoping personally that that's where I'm going to be able to start to spend more of my time, is helping to tell the story of the TEC and token engineering more broadly. The other priority is the partnership, which we're starting to describe as like integrating the Token Engineering Academy into the Commons. That will start very simply as like, the Academy starting to earn some revenues and be able to accept TEC as a form of payment, and then we'll be looking for deeper integration over time. So we'll be starting to talk more about that next week. Angela's got a session with the Academy's community next Wednesday, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. So that's good, but that's going to be a major focus for us in the next season. Then revitalizing TEC grant making, specifically public goods grant making, hopefully with the Gitcoin Allo protocol. And we need to check on the spelling on that, because I saw just one L, but I've also seen it with two L's. And then supporting this a stakeholder study that Livia is doing. That's going to take some of our resources as well. And that's now just in the formation stages. And then, Nate, I really would like to get your perspective in particular on this next one. I mean, as well as everybody's, but this idea of laying the foundation for the next common pool resource for the commons, which I'm tentatively calling here the knowledge commons, the token engineering knowledge commons. So the Shelling Point Initiative is like a great way to build out the knowledge commons in specific subdomains of the token engineering field. And then the Token Engineering Academy is really interested in this idea of a token engineering library. And all of this will make active use of the curation service, kind of shifting its focus away from the Twitter use case to more of like knowledge management use case. And so just continuing to work with the Common Sense Makers folks on that, and maybe Algovera folks. And then the last one is laying the foundations to scale TEC engagement. So part of that is the advisory network that Tam is going to be working on. And then this is something that Bear and I have not had a huge amount of time to talk about, but it's like, how do we scale up the permissionless and bounty-based work so that it's not all this team that's doing everything. And related to that is just starting to look a little bit more seriously about stakeholder incentives. Like, why is it that people would want to contribute time, like pro bono, right? Volunteer time to the commons. How do we tap into the power of that? And then finally, looking at, this is related to that, reputation systems. There's been a lot of conversations around that. So like, what can we do to advance that? And potentially rolling that into the Shelling Point Initiative interest group. So I'm going to take notes, and I'd love to get all of your responses to this. Who would like to go first? Anybody? And let me say the prompt, in terms of the prompt, does this, so does this feel like these are the right categories of work? Does it feel like it's too much? And then are we missing key things?
I think it looks great. I think it looks really, really good. I was just thinking on, like comparing it with the past, with past agendas and with past seasons, the things that we have kind of like planned out. This one seems like pretty token engineering focused, and I think that's a really big step for us to be starting to talk more about this and working more about this. No, and the way you laid it out, I think it makes a lot of sense, and for me, it looks pretty complete. It does look like a lot of work, but I think we can manage to do that, because in a way we're already doing that work, and I feel that more and more people will be joining. So yeah, I just think it's really good sign.
I'll go next. I agree with Baird. It definitely looks like a good framework to base our efforts off on. Because once we have these things done, it enables us to branch out into other things. So I definitely think it looks really good. I just only have one question with regards to, it may be a dumb question or silly, but what is the difference between the token engineering library and the curation service? Like, what is the actual difference between the two?
Yeah, okay, I'll just answer that really quickly by saying, not sure yet. The library is an idea that Angela at the Token Engineering Academy has been toying with. But basically, it's having a lot of material that is considered by both the Academy and the Commons communities as being like essential reading or essential resource material for the field of token engineering. That doesn't depend upon the curation service. Like, that could all be added by hand, and pretty easily it could be added by hand, because we're not talking about huge amounts of knowledge at this point. But you could also see how automating the way that we select that information and curate it could be done through the curation service. So those are kind of two different things. I would say the library is kind of more the end use, like something that people who are in the field can then use to be able to access the knowledge, and the curation service is like one of the ways that we could actually add information into it, add resources into it.
More or less, how much time is this season going to be? Is it 4 months, like as usual, or?
Yes, 4 months.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think looks good. I guess the the only way to know how much work is going to be is, you know, actually defining what is going to be delivered. But as categories, I think they look good, and we can certainly do progress on each one of them.
Makes sense. Any other thoughts from folks?
She's going to say that the curation service aspect of it, I think, you know, this is a really important part. But having people who are dedicated to actually the curation aspect of it, when we do get materials, going through those materials, making sure there are proper tags, it's categorized correctly, that there might be descriptions. These are things that I think it contributes to the overall quality of what we're building, and is just vitally important. But it does require time and focus on the back end of that database to kind of filter through that and go through it based on the curation services capabilities. And so I would prefer the curation service to be a little bit more selective of what they record. Uh, but if that's not possible, then yeah, we're gonna have to have, you know, people that are dedicated to actually going through that, you know, once a week, or maybe, you know, having a meeting where we just kind of hands-on go through it once a week and try to make sure that it's properly tagged and curated properly, so we have a reliable database with good information that people can search and find.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, Marathon Mind and I were having an exchange around this very question. I mean, it's at least one aspect of it. He did a thread for Twitter on this idea of token dynamics, which was kind of being in the article as being a little bit critical of tokenomics. And so he and I, we were kind of going back and forth on like, well, how does, you know, this was something that was actually curated in the curation service in the share it channel. And, you know, it's actually interesting content, but it may not be necessarily the TEC's view on this stuff. So like, there's kind of like, this is a slightly different point from what you're making, Nate, but it's definitely related, which is, you know, like how important is our editorial perspective in what goes in and what, you know, and how much we just let the community decide what goes in. So yeah.
With that being said, I would say that it is interdisciplinary. So like you know, if somebody shares, you know, a relevant sociology paper that has to do with, you know, social dynamics within small groups, like I think that is relevant to tokenomic or token economic or crypto economic systems. We can have separate tags for that that are completely unrelated to, you know, token development or whatever it may be, but that are kind of searchable. So people have that access to it, saying, "Hey, this is relevant, but only in this context."
Yeah, agreed. Well, I want to make sure that we have time to get into the brainstorming session with Isaac on income generation. Is there any other comments on this? Otherwise, I'm going to take this and start developing this into a plan to get feedback from you all. Any other? So, Sarah or Marathon Mind? Yeah.
I just want to echo what Nate said about curation service. So I think there's very little engagement. I think it's a very time-consuming process to go through each of the posts and give a comment. You know, I think when Gideon shares an article, he gives a very descriptive, you know, summary of what the article. So it becomes easier, you know, if you want to skip into it or not. When I post, I give a very small sort of a summary, which I don't think is useful enough. So today I tried doing a larger sort of a description, and we'll try. If they're not able to give a larger description, maybe I'll step in and try to give a, maybe that can be used for the you know, uh, building the curation service like an abstract or something as well. Yeah.
For now, I'm really not so knowledgeable about the whole commons system. Yes, I'm still wrapping up. And also, when I spoke to Nate, when I went through the handbook, as I know, now you're going through this reorganization part. So for me, it looks good on paper that what you're trying to achieve, and that's all. It's hard for me to compare with the past, so we will see.
Totally get that, and I appreciate you just weighing in. That's good. Yeah,
Okay.
it'll take a little while for you to get up to speed on what we're doing, but that's great. Okay, so I've got my next steps, which probably next week do like try to take this into kind of like a rough draft of a proposal, and I'll share that with you guys next week. Okay, so Isaac, do you want to lead us on this brainstorming for TC income generation?
Sure, yeah, and I think this blends nicely with this last topic. So I believe now that we have a few clear things to work on, we know we should be looking into revenue focus. That's how I'm calling it, because each one of these has we can go about these 100 ways, but I believe the probably we should try to focus on, or at least identify those ways where in which we can actually make some revenue or something, or provide some, get back some tangible value, which preferably would be in terms of funds in the common pool, or other ways. And so the idea is that we take somewhere around 3 minutes. I'm going to put a timer on each category and put a few post-it notes on each one of these, with ideas, the more clear, the better, of how these things could be used to drive some value, whether it is through the token in the ABC, or um, any other way. And then hopefully I'll use that to make a small report and try to um, hand over something more specific that we can use and focus as a subcategory of the next season, so that the things we work on next season are um, at least to some extent aligned with the best ways or the most easy ways to drive some value. I don't know if there's any question. If not, yeah, it's in the agenda, but I'll share it
Yeah,
again
for
here.
some reason I'm not able to edit. Are other people able to edit?
I just fix it now. Try again. Can you do it now?
Yep, that did it. Yep. I'll
Cool.
share the link in the chat.
Thanks.
Oh no, you did.
Any question or something before we start, or should we start right away? Is everyone on the in the fig jam, or
Does anyone need any help?
yeah?
And just to clarify, Isaac, this is just revenue generation ideas for these categories.
Yeah. So the idea is to put on one post-it just one thing that could provide value using the creation service, or the SPI, or the grants, or others. So, for example, the if you use the token for the grants, that's a way where we get some movement in the ABC. So that's it. But I think we can start now so that we don't lose much time. I'll start the timer now.
And Isaac, do you want us to just focus? Do you want us to do it everywhere, or do you want us to just focus on the curation service first?
Yeah, I'm going to give 3 minutes to each one. So first the Christian service, and then we'll go through the others.
Sorry to interrupt. If you don't mind, I will just today passively watch. Because I'm not really still. I don't know for what we are brainstorm. I mean, I see that you're working on the revenue, but if it's okay with you, that I don't engage with this today, or
Of course,
can
that
I
totally
just
makes
follow
sense.
along?
Yeah,
Okay,
just
thank
do what. Yeah, do what makes sense to you. That totally makes sense.
Okay, thank you for understanding. Thank you.
We have just 5 seconds left. Does anyone need 1 minute more? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we're going to move to the next one, which is the SPI, so research groups, interest groups. And I'll start the timer now. And just to be clear, it doesn't have to be only with the TEC token, but any way we can get funds in our hands, it's completely fine. just have about 5 seconds left. Does anybody needs more time for this one? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we move on to grants. We'll start the timer now.
And hi, Tam. Good to see you. We've got just like a couple more minutes on this exercise that Isaac is NT, by the way. Isaac's having us do, so probably another 5 minutes, Isaac, something like that.
Yep.
And Tam, this brainstorming is around basically revenue generation ideas, and the link is in the you see it? Yeah. Okay.
The idea is that we just put ideas that we can work on that specifically put money in our hands, whether that's with the token or not. So if you want to hop in for what we have left, feel free to. We have about 10 seconds left. Does anybody need more time for this one? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we can jump straight ahead to the other category. So in this one, anything that didn't fit into the other 3 categories is welcome. We have about 10 seconds left. Does anybody need more time? 5, 4. Cool. So that's it. I'll sit down later and try to distill all this information and come up with some stuff that we hopefully can include for the next season. And with that, I'll pass it over back to you, Gideon.
Nice job, Isaac. That's great. Super. Actually, it's exciting. I love doing that. Okay, Tam. Would you like to take? We basically have like 8 minutes left. Do you want to take it away in terms of like just talking about this the advisor network, advisor group?
Yeah, sure, with pleasure. Hey, everyone. So I'll put my camera on, even though I don't have a good background behind me. So I'll drop this in here. I'm hoping to get some advice process from everyone here today, if you guys have some time. And I'll share this screen too, but I dropped a link. So this idea is, we've talked about it before. I think everyone in this chat either spoken with or has heard it in the last call. Pretty straightforward. This idea of having a team of advisors. So the problem statement is essentially that the TEC is very inward looking, and we spend a lot of time, with the people who are in this room, and we could benefit from bringing some external perspective, but also have this team of advisors be advocates for the TEC outside of the TEC. So these are very simply the goals: is getting some advice and experience from people who are subject matter experts or in the TE discipline, where we need strategic advice, reaching outside the TEC and the active contributors that we have, and benefiting from the advisors being advocates for us. So I'm proposing we create this team of advisors. How many to start with? Something like 3 to 6. And if we start doing this outreach now, we could probably have the first call by like April. And here's 3 questions that I have for advice process. So the first is some examples for the kinds of things that we would have in the agenda. The idea would be we would prepare the agenda in advance, of course, like any board meeting, and then have even provide it 2 or 3 days beforehand, so the people that are joining have some time to think about the challenges that we're facing and or the topic that we're going to talk about. But some ideas are just brainstorming whatever challenges we face. When we have a new strategy or planning that we want to share, getting some feedback about that, seeking patterns from other organizations that could be interesting for the TEC, and even things like, more technical things, like what would be the implications of if we turned off our primary market execution, let that exclusive to the TEC, and then moved all volume to the secondary market, allowing the TEC to benefit from arbitrage. This is something that Griff suggested once before, but we aren't really moving on it, because I think we need to get a more rounded picture of the implications of that. It'd be a really nice subject for a team of advisors, especially TE experts. So if you have any other ideas that you think are interesting, please this document is open to everyone. So please hop in and share some ideas or the kinds of things you would love that you faced that in our own challenges doing coordination, and ideas that we've not been able to execute on because we might not have the particular expertise to advise on that. And then, so there's a little bit about how we shape this, and Gideon and I were chatting once, and I was like, it makes sense to start advice process with the people we're even reaching out to before they're recruited as advisors. So should the advisors be compensated or pro bono? I'm leaning towards pro bono, but it'd be interesting to hear perspectives. And if you have any thoughts or perspectives, just feel free to drop your, make a comment in here. I really appreciate that. Should there be term limits for advisors? So you serve for a year and then sort of rotate off this team of advisors so that we continually bring new people in. Time commitment, once a month, once a quarter, 1 hour, once a month, 1.5 hours, once a quarter. What is that right? What is the sweet spot for the call? And then the format of the call. If we have a limited amount of time from experts? Is this something that we have, which is like, okay, it's open to all and it follows our normal format of having an open forum and an open floor? Do we do something more like a stage? Do we have a more closed call where we, really stay focused and solve things, and then produce meetings after? There's argument to be made for all of them, actually. So it'd be interesting to hear everyone here, what your perspective is, what your thoughts are, if you have a strong feeling about this, especially. And then lastly, what are the areas of expertise, the orgs and specific people we should consider for this first round? I wrote some names that I think they're pretty much they feel a little obvious even. So token engineering, block science, Zargama Jeff, token engineering, Ocean Protocol, TE education being the expertise, DAO Treasury being the expertise. Thank you for adding this, whoever did. DAO Treasury being and so on and so forth. So we have 3 minutes. I'll open the floor to see if anyone wants to share a strong thought, opinion, or a question. So nobody does. Does that mean everything's very...
So Tim, I don't want to give this short shrift. So because we kind of didn't give you quite enough time, we ran a little bit long. So maybe people could just use this as more of an intro to what you're doing, and then we drive more of the comments right into the document, or we can come back to this next week also. Do you have a preference, Tam?
I would love to do it async. I'm on a plane for 15 hours tomorrow, something crazy. So I think it would be great if you guys, if anyone has some, and if you think that we're just going in the right direction and there's no comments, that's cool too. Does anyone feel strongly against this idea? Okay. Yeah, in general, I've also felt mostly it seems like the right approach for us. I think especially what I would really love is who should we reach out to? Who's in your network? Who do you know would really make it a strategic advisor for the TEC? Who would you love to be hey, I'd love once a month or once a quarter if I could ask this person questions that we have in the TEC. Please help with that. That would be great.
Something looks great overall. The first thing that came to my mind, and I'll put a few comments in there. It's how broad do we want the areas of expertise to be? Do we want to mix treasury with TEs? I don't think that would be the best use of their time if they're combined in the same room. But maybe we have different committees, or maybe we just focus on something. But looks great. Thanks.
Yeah, NT, I'm so glad you said that because it's not obvious here, but that came up, and I think we have this team of advisors, and they don't all have to join. It could be hey, this call is specific to this. Can you 3 join this call? So we can even make it more we can call. They make a commitment, maybe sign a commitment to the TEC to be available as an advisor on some amount of time, but we can call upon them for specific subjects. And I agree, not everyone should always be in every call. That's a very good point.
Okay. Tam, thank you so much for driving this. This is going to be great. This is what we really need to take it to the next place. So thank you. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the call today. And Sarah, are you still here? I don't have my screen up. Yeah. Hey, thanks for joining. Great to have you here. And we'll see some of you on Thursday and some of you next Tuesday. Some of you on Discord. All right, everybody, take care.
You too. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.